spoke and I acknowledged that there has been a delay in the remittances to the county governments. And I just want to assure you that as a national government, we are working towards resolving that issue, not just in dealing with what is outstanding, but to look at a process that will be smoother and then ensure that county governments get their resources on time. And this is an issue that is being discussed jointly with the National Treasury, and sooner than later we are going to make a more detailed pronouncement on how we intend to solve this problem. But I can assure you we are not happy that there is a delay. We know that it's putting a lot of pressure on the county governments, and we intend to resolve that particular issue. Be that as it may, I want to take a little more time, maybe just another 2 minutes, to explain that the crisis that Kenya is facing is much bigger than we may imagine. Yesterday, when I spoke to the iftar, I gave an example of the commitments that the Kenya government entered into. Very, very demanding commitments to the people of Kenya, which we are not about to run away from, but which we have to deal with. Okay? Because they are commitments that were entered into by the previous regime. But remember, government is a government in perpetuity. So when sovereign commitments have been made, it's the responsibility of the government to tackle those sovereign commitments. Some of them are unpleasant, they are painful, but they were made. All right? And I gave an example that on one of the programs that the previous government entered into, the demand is that every January there must be a payment of 40 billion Kenya shillings. And then 6 months later, in July, to the same commitment, there must be another payment of 40 billion shillings. Now, these are commitments that have a primary charge on the consolidated fund. So you cannot run away from those commitments. And those commitments have an impact on the rest of the economy. All right? I'm speaking to this very, very carefully, because some of the people shouting loudest in the streets are part and parcel of the signatures and commitments that I am talking about. So, as a country, we have to deal with it. And we have to deal with it in a balanced way, because how much more can you tax the people of Kenya? So we have to rationalize a lot of things as we move across and as we move forward, because there are so many other commitments. I've not talked about the Eurobonds. I've not talked about so many other commitments. I've just talked of one particular area. So there is a big challenge in that context. And we should talk about the economy, understanding the background of where we are coming from. We are coming from an all-time low, and we have to build our way upwards going into the future. Now, if I now come to, say, the Turkish Airlines, it is important, and at least I've had the privilege of having served also as a Minister for Transport at one time or the other. When you are negotiating arrangements with airlines, it's a very complex issue. Because one, Kenya itself has a national carrier. in the name of Kenya Airways. So as you negotiate what you might call flight arrangements or destinations and what have you, you also have to put in balance what does that have on your own national airline. Are there reciprocal arrangements that are being granted to Kenya Airways? Okay? You and I know that Kenya Airways is facing a challenge. It's our national flag carrier. So there are issues also around there that we also have to balance. So these are factors that are taken into account when you're having the communication. At some stage, it may then make economic sense to everybody to say that now we can make this arrangement or that arrangement, but also ask yourself the very fundamental question. At times, what is your national interest as Kenyans? In all the programs that we are putting on the table, what is the national strategic interest of the people of Kenya? So as we discuss with other airlines, these are issues that our negotiators must always have in mind before the final decision is made. Asante.
Thank you very much. One more question. Last one question. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Yes.
My name is Philip.
I can't hear you.
Online, very number of times.
Yes.
My question was about the I saw you mentioning the issue of this struggle in Parasato. You want to bring them all down to Parasato. What's the position at the moment?
Okay. It's quite a long process because parastatals or state-owned enterprises across the board, they have to be rationalized. And it's an ongoing process that we are thinking through so that, one, we start being more careful and planning our future better in the establishment of these entities. Today, we have about 348 public enterprises. 348. We need to know how much of them are contributing to the exchequer and how many are a drain to the exchequer. And I'll be pronouncing myself systematically on these issues. But let me just give an example. That out of the 348 enterprises, about 79 of these enterprises are called public entities that are for profit. That are for profit. That means that they ought to make profit and pay a dividend